We are drag racing 3 of the industry-leading TIG welders in the sub, if only barely, $10,000 price point.
TBD.
Yeah, until there's another price increase on the blue team. We have the Fronius iWave 230i AC/DC. We have the HTP InverTIG 251 DV AC/DC, and we have the Miller Dynasty 300 AC/DC. They're all AC/DC machines, you get it. They are on loan from all these companies that have agreed to send them over for this exact purpose, for us to get them head to head on a weld off of sorts. And we just want to educate ourselves on what's out there. And these are 3 of the most prominent brands that at least come across my radar all the time. I've obviously been around Miller machines my whole life. I know you built your business with a Miller Dynasty.
Yep.
I've used Fronius, I've never used HTP. So they are all there on the cart. We are going to start with standard collets and cups. They will all be using the same argon gas, the same tungsten, and the same filler. Aaron has prepared 3 versions of several tests.
Okay, so step number 1, setup.
Step 1.
Ease of installation.
You heard him. Let's go over here. On the cart are the 3 welders, and we're gonna start with putting the standard cup on everything. So this one has the standard cup on it. These 2 I have retrofit with furic gas lenses already. So I'm going to walk that back. In fact, this one has a CK Worldwide torch on it, the Miller. So I'm gonna put back the original Miller rigid head torch. Womp, womp, with the nice snug fit handle. Okay, so we've put the Miller torch back on. If I'm being totally honest, the zip ties here are holding this thing together. This is a brand new A150 from Miller, which I believe is still made by Weldcraft. But the tube that slides over the gas fitting underneath this torch head is supposed to fit on here with like an interference fit. For instance, like the CK Worldwide, there's some rubber ribs right here, and this is just a plastic. There's actually some sort of straight rifling or flutes in here. And that's a tight fit. The Miller torch is not tight. It actually slides down all the time and twists around, which is kind of annoying. But in fairness, if you're using an amperage control, the zip ties are definitely gonna help, potentially gonna help hold it together.
Because race car.
Because race car. It's so cool, dude, it's a race car. I'm sure that's what you intended, right, Miller? Oh, we're never getting loaned a Miller machine ever again.
Loving this already.
The HTP InverTIG 251 shipped with a heavy hitters brand HH350 26 series torch and a flex head. Now, your results may vary. Peter Zila from HTP is a rad dude, and he was excited about this, so there's a very good chance, in fact, I'm almost certain that he sent this because he asked me how long the torch lead I prefer and what kind of head. So your results may vary when you buy the HTP 251 DV, but in our particular case, we'll be reviewing the 26 series flex head torch, onto which I will now put a standard cup and collet. All right, standard cup and collet on all 3 torches. So the only torch I haven't shown you is the Fronius, and this is first of several categories where the Fronius starts to separate itself from our competitors. So Fronius, as you can tell, has a very unique torch system. For starters, there's buttons on the torch. I'm not sure what they do yet. One of them does seem to be a light button. The heads are interchangeable. So that's actually kind of cool. If you like this part, you can just set up different cups, different collets, different lenses on these heads, and then just swap them out as you need. This appears to be a rigid head, air-cooled, and then flex head air-cooled from the HTP. But again, if I had to guess, you would probably get a rigid head as standard as well for the HTP. Miller 17 series air-cooled, HTP 26 series air-cooled flex head, Fronius 17 series rigid head, but with buttons and features and whatnot. Aaron has sharpened up some gray serrated 3/32 tungsten. We've got number 6 cups on all of these. Standard cup, turbulent flow, not a whole lot of stick out. All right, torches are set, tungsten is in, it is sharpened, ready to go. Which one do you want to start with?
I think we know where we want to start.
Old Miller.
Baseline.
Let's go big. So we will be starting with the Miller Dynasty 300. And so the first step when you get your welder, being that these are all pretty much brand new, we gotta set it up. Now, one thing I've done already that you would have had to do if you bought this machine is put a freaking plug on it. This machine, and when I asked Rick about this from Miller, he said it's a industrial machine with several wiring options. To his credit, you can wire this for 3-phase or single phase. So I've got it wired for 220 single phase, which means you can just ignore one of the wires. There's 4 wires in here, I'd just cut one off.
Love that.
Under supervision, the red one, cut the red one. So prepare for that. You do not get one with the purchase price, by the way. So I've got a 220 single phase here from my shop. We will plug that in. And now we gotta hook up the gas. It's no secret that we're sponsored by ARC3, so naturally we've got some 100% argon from ARC3. These are both pretty fresh tanks, so there should not be any trash in the supply. Miller did come with a gas regulator and gas hose. I believe Miller bought Smith regulators. They used to be Smith branded that came with them. In fact, I can confirm that because on my 20-year-old Miller-Matic 212, there's a Smith regulator, and then I believe Miller bought Smith, and now they're branded Miller. But one thing that's odd to me is that this is not a flow, like a ball style flow regulator. It's more of a needle valve that you see on a MIG.
Oxyacetylene rig setup.
Yeah, so you can see flow, but it's not as precise as one of these guys. And from your angle, it probably looks like this is the one we're using. This is, okay, I'll make sure not to do that. But anyway, all of these have more or less the same gas hookup. In fact, the Miller and Fronius are the same. The HTP is backwards, but they all come with their own gas line. So screw that in. Now, one interesting thing that Rick did say from Miller was not to tighten that very hard, the gas line, because there's a plastic piece inside that could break. It was a little strange to get that directive from up top, but
Brass in general.
it is brass. Yeah, you shouldn't have to really reef on it. So there we go. Also back here is the plug for the water cooling system if you were to get it. So you just plug one thing in and then the welder powers the, is yours like that from 12 years ago? Separate plug.
It's a separate plug. I believe there's actually like a 110 plug on the back of the Dynasty.
Just a straight up outlet.
So you can plug that into that, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, it even says Coolmate 1.3 supply. Power on.
There it goes.
There it is. Reboot.
Wake up.
Get some leads out here. One thing I will note about the Miller is for 10 grand, you do not get a welding torch. You get the box and 2 dense connectors. That's it. So you have to purchase what's called the contractor pack, I believe, and then you get the welding torch, the line, and the ground and all that. Take that for what you will. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's all right. So we got our ground clamp, pretty standard. You got a knurled brass contact pad there, but that's it. No copper cabling to go to the other side of the ground clamp, and this is just zinc plated steel. It does say 300 amps on there, and I'm sure this is probably Miller branded cable. It is not. We'll be grounding these to our table. Of course, we have our Langmuir fixture tables here. Aaron is hooking everything up, so you run the lead into the, we might have them backwards. Yeah, that's the work holding. There's pictures on the machine. I think we have the same length on all of these. I think they're all 20 some feet long, which is nice. I mean, I like to have a long run. I could weld all the way over here.
Setting up your new Miller welder.
Welder. Okay, so we've got new to the Dynasty series is a digital display. All of these, for the record, will be using a digital display. We'll just start basics. We got 5 buttons down here, 2 labeled buttons over here, and a wheel with click functionality. You got a USB port there, so you can, you know, yeah, you can
Charge your vape.
charge. First test we're gonna limp these things through is 1/8 inch mild steel. standard hot rolled tubing, I believe. 1/8 inch. Did I say that already? 1/8 inch mild steel. So let me go through this menu here and try to figure out how to do that. So I'm gonna hit the first button, because that's how I would approach that, left to right. And it seems that was the right way to go. So we've got some options here. We wanna do DC TIG with a high frequency start. We don't wanna do lift arc. Apparently lift arc is trademarked by Miller.
Ooh.
Which is the name of our company.
So anyway, we
love the Miller dynasty. In fact,
I know which one we want to marry.
We're gonna pay 200% market value for this. Record scratch. So DC TIG, high frequency start. We're gonna click that. Trigger. So we've got the sort of rotary amperage control. It's got a two-sided wheel inside this enclosure that you can click on and then turn up and turn down. Do you want to use the variable amperage part or just set it as a trigger?
I mean, I'd like to try both just so I can figure out which one I hate more.
Okay, so there's a setting in here for fingertip control. So that's kind of nice, in fairness.
Yeah.
It's not just 2T, 4T. It's like, hey, are you using a pedal or are you using our Miller fingertip control or are you using a trigger? Push button standard, push button hold. So we'll use fingertip control. We'll go over to pulse. We'll leave the pulsar off for now. What do you think? Just straight up. And then tungsten, 30 seconds. All right, I guess I hit the home button now. There we go. And looks like all we do now is dial in our amperage. That's really easy.
Simple.
Very, very simple. Oh, you can go into the settings and set your pre-flow and post-flow. Keep it on 0.2 and 9 seconds. There's a purge. Oh, okay. I can purge it from here. So that's nice. This machine does have a gas purge feature. It's just kind of buried in the settings a little bit.
That is nice.
Well, we thought it didn't have one at all.
Low bar.
You know, I will say the buttons are very chunky, and then you do have a programs feature so you can save and recall different programs. I gotta believe all of these machines at that point has that feature. That used to be kind of a, memory, but now they all have that. That's it. I'm not seeing any auto set stuff. I'm not seeing any easy or advanced modes. It's kind of just is what it is. And I think it's all set by the process. So it's up to you to dial in your amperage. But 110 ought to be a good start. Maybe up to, if we're using the variable, we can put it at like 150 or something and cruise up to it. Boink. Ready to weld. All right, so we're gonna go do the same setup in the HTP for 1/8 inch mild steel. Contact. Oh yeah, it's all white. How's that look on camera?
It's kind of like if Texas Instruments made a welder.
It's a TI-82.
Yeah.
Fan's spinning up, but it's definitely not an annoying frequency. It is louder than that one. We'll see if it dies down. All right, so we're setting up for the same test. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Start from left to right. Go to mode, 2T, we got TIG, 2T pedal or slider, or TIG 2T. Now I will say, we didn't ask for this, but this one came with a pedal and no trigger. So really, given what we were provided, we have to use the pedal in order to use all this stuff they sent us. Oh darn, we have to use a pedal. Dang it. You know what's wild about these two welders? Same control plug. In their own documentation for HTP, they say that is a Miller style 14-pin connector.
Well, then surely they're the same price.
You know, that's what's funny. They're not the same price.
Well,
not
surely
even
they're-
remotely.
Would you say they're double the price?
More than double the price. But 2.5 times the price. So we will be setting on TIG 2T pedal. I'll hit this next button. It's got sort of a arc icon. So you got DC, AC, and a mix of AC, DC. Now, on our live stream unboxing of this, we did dive into the setting, the brochure that came with it. The mix AC, DC is exactly what it sounds. It's a hybrid AC, DC for aluminum welding with more penetration. It uses the power of DC and the cleaning properties of AC. We'll put it on DC, standard, no pulse. We got lift. They can't call it lift arc, I guess. High frequency, we're gonna do high frequency. We can push this button to get our standard sort of pictogram. In this case, we get pre-flow, downslope, which is odd that for the pedal setting, there's still a downslope setting. I'm just gonna leave it there. And then a post flow, I'm gonna put it up to 8 seconds. Hot start auto, tungsten diameter, 330 seconds. Home, we've got a jobs button, so same thing. It's good to know you can save up to 8 custom jobs. I guess it's worth mentioning the Miller can save like 100 custom jobs, in case you're that interesting of a person.
In case you build things.
Yeah, you like build stuff for a living. And then the last machine setup menu, remote TIG on, remote direction normal. Oh, you could invert the direction of the pedal or something. Go from high to low. That's strange.
That'll
Yuck.
fried my triumph.
Minimum amperage, 1 amp. Wow. Damn.
Watch out.
I'm gonna
cans.
I'm gonna set it on 10. Aluminum current reading max, AC, user interface. Oh, I'm on the advanced user interface apparently. So should we put it on simple and see what that looks like? Basic. Oh, we got rid of a few things. Yeah, I'm gonna put it back on advanced. So in here we've got, oh, there's the purge button. So from home screen, settings, purge is right there. I wish that was powered up too. I wanna try that. Okay, info TIG 251DV version 1.02. There's a QR code. It's getting 250 volts at 60.4 hertz from our building. 250 volts, how about that? That's it. So that's what it was like to dial in settings on the HTP 251.
I like that the screen is like a hi, my name is tag.
Yeah, it does. So let's check out the Diva, shall we?
There better be some like Sega Genesis graphics on that screen.
Sound effect when
I want to see Echo the Dolphin.
I will say, the Fronius came with 3 different adapters for voltage input. The US 110 plug, the US 220 plug, and then like a 110 looking plug, but with a sideways blade on it. I think it's also a 220. I will say, zip tied to the top of this machine is a 3-year full warranty card. I don't know exactly the other ones, but it's nice to see. Smallest screen of the 3. But this one is angled up. This whole interface here is sort of jutted out and up, which, you know, typically speaking, these are on kind of a cart down low, so that's nice. A bit of a long boot time on the Fronius, but it was the first boot, so we'll see. We gotta set the date and time. Yeah, that's strange. All right, time zone. It's set for Europe and Vienna. The Fronius is Austrian.
Yeah, good luck getting through that time zone menu. There is quite a few options.
Wow.
Turns out there's a lot of places.
Good Lord, every place is in here.
All of them.
All the places. Puerto Rico, we're getting closer. All right, here we are. Initial screen. We have never powered this machine up, so I'm just gonna turn things. Okay, it has sort of a left to right situation. Start current, polarity, so DC minus shows you how to plug in your deal. Your torch will go here, and your same pictograms as all the other ones. Start current. Amperage wise, the other one was at like 10 amps. It's a percentage. You dial in the start current as a percentage of your weld current. That's interesting. I don't know, I'll put it at 15%. Upslope, so we don't have a pedal with this one. We have their fancy torch, which we don't know how it works yet. So I'm gonna leave that at 0.5 seconds. Main current, we'll dial that up to 120 or so. Downslope, we'll do a second of downslope. End current, again with percentage. Okay, but it does tell you your percentage. What's the point of end current? Do you know?
If you're coming to the end of a joint,
Where it
perhaps, where you want to...
stops. Because if there's a downslope, I guess that's where it goes to before it cuts out. I don't know, I feel like you want it to be smooth. Let's do 10%. Electrode diameter, oh God. What is 330 seconds in millimeters? Hey Google.
She can't hear you with that case.
What's 330 seconds of an inch in millimeters?
0.09375 inches is equal to 2.381 millimeters.
2.381, so 2.4. Okay, start amps, 20 amps. I'm the least confident with the settings I've plugged into this machine based off of no homework whatsoever. I'll just say that right now. Let's dig through the rest of it. So we hit this button, we've got TIG, 2-step, all right. Oh, a dedicated gas purge button, hey. Like that.
Purge alert, purge alert.
Purge alert. That is the one thing my Everlast Power TIG had that I really liked.
That's a nice feature.
Dedicated purge. I'm just based on the solenoid sound. That sounds like it's off. I don't have the gas turned on. So that's that. This is the triggering button. This is gas purge. Home. Oh boy. Now I do remember from our demo with Laine, this thing has a wild feature called a tacking feature, where it's like an advanced pulse, where the further you push down on the pedal, the more amperage, the lower the pulse frequency gets. And so the pulse frequency is tied to the amperage. The idea is you can autogenously tack easier, meaning no filler, fuse the metals together. Something about the pulse maybe agitates the weld pool and like promotes it kind of growing together.
Guys that like that?
Yeah, pulse frequency off for now. Opti Pulse Pro, start current time, end current time. I don't know what that means. Slope drop current. So far this machine is making me feel the dumbest. Ignition parameters, high frequency on, reverse polarity ignition off. Got to figure out why you would want to use that.
The intelligent revolution is making you feel the dumbest.
The general state of our technology sectors. So the first thing we're going to do today is take the Miller Dynasty 300 through each of these tests. I'm going to start over here with some simple 1/8 inch mild steel stuff because that's what we set the welder up for. So let's do it. Jump right in with the Miller Dynasty 300. Let's go. 130 amps DC TIG, 3/32 electrode, no pulse. Trigger method is with the finger control, so you click it on and then you can ramp up the amperage. I don't even really know what the starting amperage is because it's not telling me. So I guess there is some automaticness going on in the background. So first test, we'll move this stuff over here so you can see, is 2 pieces of 1/8 inch, 1.5 inch square tubing cut at a miter, and then we've got a little plate where we can do a cap on one end. So, squareness is not the point of this test, it is just the welding characteristics. Number 6 cup, 3/32 electrode, gray serrated. All right, I gotta figure out the muscle memory on this amp control here. I'm just gonna try to do a few tacks. Gotta turn the argon on. You put me at like 15 CFH. It's flowing now. I did get a tiny tack already somehow, but it was unshielded. Oh, I already hate the amperage control. All right, I'll weather the storm. But there's so much movement that has to be done from when you crank it on to get up to an operating amperage. Like I can't do it in one motion. I'm having to like push, like 4 or 5 different motions to get the wheel to where I need it to be. Obviously, I'm complaining about something that can be changed out or swapped, so we're okay, but I'm trying to use the equipment that was provided to me. As I understand it, this is what gets shipped in the contractor pack, so that's an optional extra, by the way. There we go, nice little tack. 4 scrolls, 4 separate scrolls on the wheel to get it to an amperage that I like. Although, tack looks good. Once I got it up to amperage, the tack worked out well. So I'm gonna establish a puddle and do a little run here and try my best to vary the amperage as I need, but I really do hate these hand controls. I'm getting electrocuted. I'm grounded to the table, right?
Certainly the least robust of the grounds.
I know, right. And most expensive. There it is. Could be a starting amperage problem. All right, I am already at least enjoying the fact that I have variable amperage to some degree. Which way's off? All right. I'm not gonna win any awards. The weld itself is a little hot, a little gray, and a little fuzzy, but consistent, it's solid, it would do just fine. I mean, I prefer a foot pedal and a gas lens, so this is a big adjustment for me. But good first pass. I'm I'm gonna try to go faster, a little hotter and a little faster, maybe add a little more material and see if I can stay ahead of that heat. Not getting the puddle to close very well. About the same. Started off good, just got hot. I mean, you can see how wide the heat affected zone is there, and it's consistent. The arc's very stable. The machine is quiet, which is nice. My air dryer is making more noise across the shop than this thing is, so. Go to trigger, push button standard, pulse on, pulses per second. Yeah, it does have a picture. There's like a sweet spot. It's like one that it says I should use, 100 pulses per second. Let's use that. That's the Pro set. Helps focus the arc, increase arc stability and travel speed. All right, I'll take your word for it, Miller. Peak on time. Let's just do Pro set on all of this. Background, Pro set, pulse wave shape, Pro set, you know? So there are some automatic features. All right, so now that we have pulse, we have this pictogram here. Because I went push button, not variable. Initial amperage is 10, 0.2 seconds of upslope, 130 peak. Let's see what happens. So everything's set on a Pro set setting with the pulsar. It didn't feel like 100 pulses per second, but it was nice. Outside corner joint, a really good heat control, established the puddle and was easy to push around. Kind of had a metronome effect. It was like pop, 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 so that's sort of when I would add. I'm gonna try this inside fillet weld with the same settings. Let's see what we come up with. A little cold, but I'm working it. I like that a lot. Those are nice pulse settings. It's all automatic. So you can see the weld's a little shinier. It's not all grayed out and frayed. Felt a little cold. So I could bump up the amperage just a bit to move a little faster, but if I was doing this a lot, that is not a bad way to go. Pretty good. I do enjoy that. So we've got a little cap. Can do some welding on. Try to fuse these corners with a tack, and then I'll tack the corners and then we'll do some runs, basically lap joints at this point. Tacking pretty easy. Nice autogenous fusion. I'm only saying that because I learned it from Laine, and I think Laine's cool. All right, let's run some, the rigid head torch with a long cup blows. I'm doing a lay wire basically with 16th inch and just moving over it with the pulsar. Almost exactly like I'd be doing on roll cage stuff. Can't remember which direction's off. A little hot still. Different joint though. You don't need as much heat to do this lap joint as you do an inside fillet joint, so a little hot. Can you turn me down to like 110? Or here, hang out there and I'm gonna weld and let's see.
Put you at 120 right now.
Okay. That feels good. I wonder why it's not giving me all of it. Because I don't.
Scroll harder.
Yeah, but I have it on trigger mode, not.
Oh, gotcha.
Or do I? Hit the trigger button. What's it set on? All the way to the left. Yeah, it should be. What do the words say on the right? I mean, so it shouldn't be variable amperage right now, but.
It's sticking at solid 77.
Yeah, it's not moving around.
Well, let me push it. Oh, so it's not moving around at all. All right. I don't know. I'm just a kid, life's a nightmare. Ow. I'm turning it up. Is it doing anything?
Nope.
Okay. I wonder if it's deciding how much amperage somehow. Also, that is not 100 pulses per second. Can you hit the pulsar? What's it?
No, it's 1.8, so it's on.
Oh.
You want it at 100?
Well, that was the Pro, yeah, go back. That was the Pro set. Like scroll, if you hit Pro set at the bottom, it'll set it automatically. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought I had set it on. All right, so already a little misleading there. Oh, you didn't, you gotta click it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you hit back.
Okay, so already there's a weird handshake. There's like no affirmative. You don't know if you set it up right. Okay, let's try this. This is what I thought I had set it on.
Oh, now it's at 130.
It's buzzing now.
Oh, weird, it hit 130%.
Well, that's to establish the arc. I don't know which direction the wheel goes. I mean, it's nice. Roughly, a little less heat input. You know, we're welding through mill scale, so it's not going to be like super crisp, but I mean, we can pick it apart all day long. Very passable weld. This type of joint would get ground down anyway, at least in our shop. So, and then I guess this, right? You had in mind, put it.
Different thicknesses going in.
Your fly plus fixture table.
Yeah.
It's a little tough sometimes.
Needs a,
All right, so I'm going into 3/16 plate. You're gonna hit me with like 150, and we're still on 100 pulses a second, so we'll see. I kind of have a feeling I want to go down, but I'll try this now. Yeah, not nearly enough power.
Yeah, now you're at 89 amps.
I do not understand why you set the peak amperage on a 2T trigger mode and it doesn't get there.
what's our percentages set at? It should be,
Peak at 40%.
Oh,
yeah, that's,
but that was a pro
Oh,
set
that's peak
feature.
on time.
it'll be up to 75. Let's see how that
All right. So that's gonna put more heat into the part,
is.
which is what I need right now. You have a pulsing cheat sheet? Okay, so it's telling us the like average amperage, like the effective amperage, basically. It is establishing a better puddle now. And I did briefly dip my tungsten for the first time. I think this is gonna work all right.
I think you down to 60 is what this is recommending.
For this thickness? Okay. 60 what? Percent?
Percentage.
Oh, you said amps. I'm like, I'm not an expert, but I've been doing this for a little while. So less heat than I was just getting, but we're at 150 amps. Smoother. Having a little problem establishing, but now we're moving. Probably need more power. I mean, it's pretty nice though. Yeah, give me like 165. Let's try that. Very strange, the frequency, but I mean, that is pretty nice, especially because I'm welding through mill scale right now, and we know how funky that can be, because mill scale is really hard, and once you break through it, sometimes you undercut the base metal. Okay, I mean, there's still undercut happening there. Give me 175. I want to be able to move faster here. Try to establish this puddle faster. It's a tough joint, but a little better. I was able to add more there and move. All right, for comparison, I want to do this last part, no pulse.
You take your
Take the pulsar.
down to 150.
Yeah, just take the pulsar off up top. You know, I really don't like that you have to click into it, turn it off,
Intuitive.
and then
I'm sure
click.
you learn it, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great up front. Yeah, and now it brought me down to like 150 or something. We'll do this last one straight up and see how much different it is. And is it at 150 right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. If I was doing production work, I would want it this hot and just move. Definitely more heat input. I mean, maybe 150 was a little hot still, but more undercut. The pulsed welds look better. That's a tough joint, one that I'm sure I'm not an expert at, but We're making coat hooks.
Too strong if it broke.
So I have some just uncomfortabilities I'm having to work through to develop my real opinion. I don't like a standard cup. I do not like torch mounted amperage controls, and I do not like rigid head torches.
Yeah, that's 3 strikes.
You do not like the 3 things that this comes with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Miller's, can I be honest? I just don't understand why machines don't come with gas lenses. It's 2024. Why don't they come with a simple gas lens kit? It can't be that much more expensive. You're getting $10,000 from somebody when they buy this welder. You can't give them a flex head and a gas lens? Like, that's kind of ridiculous. All right, anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I find Miller's menu to be clunky. I don't enjoy the, like, first of all, it's a tiny wheel. It feels like a knockoff stereo. And then you have to find the setting you want, click into it, change it by turning the wheel, then click it again to confirm it, and then go back to your home to see where you're at. It just feels like too many steps.
It feels like when you press the Pro Set button, it should just go.
Yeah, I hit Pro Set and the thing went green. I figured I could just
Exit out the exact path you came in.
It's like a 90s Windows computer where it's like, are you sure? Are you really sure? Are you doubly sure? Like Windows Vista? Yeah, no, I don't know. Well, first one down with included equipment. I mean, if I had this welder as our welder, the first thing I would do was throw this torch away, throw this amperage controller away, put a CK Worldwide 17 flex head on here, and then Furic gas lenses.
And a foot pedal.
And a foot pedal. Or the TIG button from 6061.com. We still haven't chased that down. I've had enough. Do you want to do the tubing joint?
Sure.
This?
Sure.
We'll stay with the same relative thickness and the same type of metal.
Sure.
You're up, sir.
Right. Yeah, see, like immediately I go to this.
Uh-huh.
And that's like, that feels good. This is gonna be absolute dog.
Yeah.
Look at me, looking for my pedal.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Oh, that sucks. That is so unnatural. God damn. Oh, I hate that.
You know what's annoying? I was told that we would get a foot pedal on loan to use for this. I've had this Miller machine in the shop now for like a month. They have yet to give us a foot pedal. And it's not the Arc 3 guys' fault either. They haven't got one from Miller.
No, that sucks. That is so unforgiving.
It really magnifies all your twitching too.
Yeah,
Like,
you're just extending it out.
Now it's time to shine.
Let's scroll some holes.
Scroll some holes.
There's the first hole.
Yeah, that's not fun. I mean, it's stable once you're going, but man.
They expect you to be doing long runs where you can set it and move, but a lot of the stuff we do is quick on, quick off, you know? You're spending a lot of time changing that setting around.
God, and just finding which way you scroll when you're done.
Right.
It's
Sometimes I end up turning it up and then I'd rather just yank the torch away from it. Weld looks good though. I mean, it looks like the right heat.
Bring me down just a little bit, because it's throwing me off having to be.
You were at 105.
Yeah, take me to 100 flat. God, I want a foot pedal right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like you have the auto vibration feature turned on.
I mean, it's fine once you're there, but
Yeah.
no gas lens, no foot pedal, no fun. No bueno.
I mean, I just can't get over the fact that you don't get in. What you don't get with this machine is kind of infuriating.
And also, like, it's so easy to pull away from your argon flow as you're trying to wheel it.
Yeah. I mean, we could probably put a bigger cup on there and flow a little more gas, but.
This is what it comes with, folks.
Yeah, well, it came with a few standard cups, I'm sure, but I mean, that's a number 6. That's not a small cup as far as standard cups go.
It's just, it just messes with my whole process because I start thinking about, okay, which way is the scroll? Like once you're at the end.
You're not
and
thinking about
like,
welding.
Yeah, no, it's a pat your head, rub your belly thing. And you can tell.
Yeah, your weld quality is going to
it's
suffer.
like, it's great in the middle and then at the ends.
So, I mean, the thing to keep in mind is that you buy this welder, you're going to have to immediately spend another $300 on a torch that you like. Well, the foot pedal, I don't even think is considered in the contractor package. So that's probably $400 or $500.
What we got is in the contract.
So another $1,000.
Throw me on pulse now.
All right.
Give me like a 1.8, 25 background, 50.
You know,
Peak.
one setting that Everlast had was nice where you could do 1 point scrolling naturally and then you could push the knob in and jump 10 at a
that's
time.
nice.
You have to sit here and wind this thing.
Yeah, like 50 peak.
What kind of wave? You were probably used to square wave.
Yeah, sure.
All right, 100 amps still?
No, bump me up to 20, sure.
All right. That's working good, it looked like.
Definitely better.
Your puddle was jumping pretty easy.
Felt a little cold, as evident by the big old has.
By the gold color.
Yeah, give me.
The foot pedal alone for Baker's gas is $650.
So the foot pedal for this machine is $650 and it doesn't come with in the contractor package or the base machine.
It only comes with the fully kitted out version, which is $14,000.
Is that water cooled as well?
That is.
600.
Bananas.
You can buy a decent, cheaper TIG welder for $650.
One that may come with a foot pedal.
Yeah, well, yeah.
In fact, I think the art captain is right around
Well,
that.
and that like AHP, you know, those cheaper ones. I'm sure Everlast has a machine that would come with a foot pedal for that.
Put me at 130, please, sir.
Ooh, but guess what? They have a wireless one that's $1,000.
Yeah, the wireless pedal's where it's at, but for $1,000, I just don't get it.
That's the ticket right there.
Hey, what do they call you in high school? Is it the TIG nasty?
I don't know, didn't go.
Hey, Aaron. Shocker.
Follow-up was right there.
Oh, I gave myself
The
another.
Furic TIG gloves have built-in insults. You know what's not insulting? That weld quality.
Well, that is,
But
that's definitely the way to go. The
Pulsing.
130, 1.8.
well, so we've both sort of established that if you have to deal with this control, take variable amperage out of it, dial in a pulse setting that you like.
Well, it just gives you some breathing room, like between the pulses, especially.
Yeah.
And then on a rounded cope, you know, you're constantly kind of having to move as
Oh yeah,
well.
arc
Like,
distance, arc angle.
There's so many variables, and that is the worst tool for the job.
You're 3 inches away from it. It doesn't
Exactly.
bend. You're-
Any shake is just so magnified at that point.
But we have to test what they gave us.
And, you know,
I mean, by all accounts, those are 3 very good welds there.
Right.
But you've been doing it for 2 decades, and that's a $10,000 machine. It'd be kind of embarrassing if they weren't at least good welds, but boy, how hard it was to get there.
yeah,
All right, shall I do some aluminum?
I think you shall.
Some aluminium, yeah?
You're changing.
No, I'll stay standard cup, because actually with aluminum, standard cup is
Beneficial.
what a lot of guys prefer, actually. So- all right, now aluminum is somewhere I definitely prefer a foot pedal, so, but I have in a pinch used pulse to
Yes.
do that.
Now, which
My cheat sheet here has 4 to 8.
Pulses per second?
Yeah, pulse per second.
Where's that? Tell the people about that sheet and me.
I found this off the internet years ago. Ethan Labowitz was a frame builder who put this together, and Carl Snarl, who taught me how to weld in
What a name.
2012, recommended this, and I've used it ever since. It's great.
All right, so 1/8 aluminum, what you got for me?
I'm gonna go to, let's start at, I'll do 5 pulse per second, 5.5.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take this plate and just run some flat beads to get reacquainted. I'm gonna use some 3 30 seconds, So walk me through what you dialed in so I know.
I just put you at 5.5 pulse per second, 25 background, 40 peak, kind of a standard starting point. I should probably bring down your...
what AC balance and clearance effect and all that?
Your 120, which is standard starting.
120 hertz?
Mm-hmm. Balance is 75.
Okay, I think that's a pro set thing. All right, we'll see.
But yeah, between 65 and 75 is most common.
It's extremely cold.
Yeah, you were at like 30 amps.
Oh, right.
That's annoying. Why does post flow need to take up the entire screen? Yeah, hit me at like 165 or 75.
Let's go 75.
Yeah. What is happening?
Yeah, you're at like 9.
Oh, it's variable.
Looking good from here.
I didn't realize I was still on variable, sorry.
Plus pulse.
Yeah, once we got going, we were okay. I didn't realize. I thought it was on trigger mode.
Trigger.
But of course, we switched programs, so everything
resets
changed.
everything.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, of course.
that's okay.
You want me to put you on...
Non-variable.
You know what? No, I will deal with it.
That was actually on foot pedal setting.
Oh, was it? That explains why.
Why? All right, push button standard.
No, do hand control. Could you give me like 200, actually? I've never run that pulse frequency before, and I hate it. Slow that, I need that slowed down. Cut it in half, because it's still extremely cold.
Why is it?
Wait, you can't get into your pulse menu now?
Yeah, what the hell? Hello?
None of the buttons are working.
Is the home button up? What?
What the hell? Camera got that, right? Yeah. Jesus. Give me 2. I'm telling you, I need a lot more heat. All right, that's good.
Well, you may bump up your peak?
No, 4 pulses a second, I do not like. Oh, peak, sure, yeah, give me 50% on that. Kind of tempted just to do no pulse first, but we're here, so let's run it.
Yeah, let's not ruin the menu.
Did you fucking tell it that you're serious and lock it all in?
Maintain, please.
I hate everything about this. I dipped a few times. We're okay. I'll get there. I need more just flat ground running here. Clean the electrode off. I would like to turn the pulsar off. Keep it at 200 amps. 120 hertz is fine. Yeah, I just want to I just want to mess with no pulse. Much better. Pulse is completely unnecessary, I think, for aluminum in a lot of cases. If you have variable, here's my opinion. If you have variable amperage control for aluminum, I have yet to find a scenario where you need variable amperage control and pulse. In my mind, and I did this on a big project. I built a giant aluminum awning one time and I had long runs I needed to do and I couldn't use a foot pedal. That's when I used pulse, but I locked in an amperage. I locked in like 170 amps and just ran the pulse, and that was my way to keep heat out of the part. I'm gonna try this inside corner joint again. No pulse, just variable control. Absolutely lovely.
There it is.
For those of you on the internet that don't think I can weld aluminum, enjoy that. That felt good. That was consistent. My heat input was not bad. I didn't have any blowouts on the backside. The clearance, the cleaning is not super aggressive. No melt through on the back or the bottom, and the puddle was moving effectively. So I like that. Here, I'll use this to do some different joinery. My aluminum's dirty, but the weld looks good.
Cleaning's working.
All the stuff's rising to the top. Yes, I dipped my tungsten twice. I'm sorry I let you down, everyone. But it feels good. Aluminum is definitely it's more common to do aluminum with a standard cup. So I am enjoying that. And yeah, I would not have any problem using this. In fact, I've done several aluminum jobs with this welder since I've had it. I actually did them with a gas lens, one of Furik's gas lenses that was rated for aluminum, but you'd have no problems doing this with a standard cup. There you go.
Here, before you get up, while you're there.
Very slick.
Oh, nice. You see what I did, Aaron?
We get some more juice for that, probably.
No, I got plenty of juice.
Okay.
Aaron's making me do a project for him while I happen to be sitting here. God, I hate this torch. Honestly, not a bad way to weld aluminum. I'm not hating my life right now. The aluminum arc is nice on this machine. It's very predictable. The puddle flows real well. It's very stable. I'm far more impressed with the aluminum on this machine than anything else. The AC.
So the fact that the amperage controller is one wheel is kind of what f***s it up. Because depending on which way you hold it, depends on whether you pull it forward or backward.
Yeah, they have sliding amperage controls. Walker's point, if you didn't hear, was if it was a consistent direction, you push an amperage controller.
No matter which way you held it.
Yeah, because like on the left side of the torch, you push forward to turn on, and on the right side, you pull back to turn on. And if you flip the torch around like you're gonna do, you're gonna mix the amperage, the direction around all the time.
Aluminum, how do you feel?
This machine welds aluminum really, really well. Very well. Far better than the Everlast machine I had, which is the one I've spent a lot of time beating over the head, convincing it that it wanted to weld aluminum, and it did not. I mean, I would say the other two have a big hill to climb when it comes to aluminum, because this thing, as the kids say, it slaps.
I mean, and then just imagine a better control.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I could be comfortable, I could do that every time. Well, all right. Miller, build quality. It's gotta be good.
Yeah, I mean, we both are biased on this in that we've used them for a long time, so
Yeah.
I think the quality is certainly there in terms of the equipment itself. Now, it would seem that more and more components are no longer made in Appleton.
Yeah, right. Well, and it was odd that Rick from Miller said don't over tighten the gas thing on the back because it's held in by a piece of plastic on the inside.
I don't love that.
That's not a great sign for build quality.
Also, unless he's like there telling everyone that when you take it out of the box, like that's probably
Like just put a don't over tighten sticker on it or something.
Yeah.
Don't be like, well, it's held in by a piece of plastic. Whatever. Ease of assembly. Feel like it's easy to assemble.
Nothing to assemble.
Yeah, it doesn't come with anything to assemble, so assembly is very easy. Torch feel, awful.
Yeah.
Accessories, there are none. User interface, not my favorite. I mean, the physical handshake is okay, but like,
I'm sure you would get used to it if you used it regularly, but it sucks having to take the path in and path out on everything.
Yes.
You know, like there's no, okay, we set that, let's skip over to the next feature instead
Right.
of having to back your way out of it.
yeah, I don't love the menu. DC mild steel. Who's it for? Who is a $10,000 TIG welder that comes with no accessories for?
I would say that is for the production company that has been buying from Miller for 40 years and just see that they need a new one on the expense sheet and buy one.
Yeah, what's
would
it
say-
cost? Oh, move the budget around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think this is for just, hey, I've heard of that. There's established name brand there. This is, my dad bought Chevys, so I buy Chevys kind of situation.
I think you're very right. And to be fair, this is the 300. They do make a 200, I think, or a 210.
250, I think.
The 250. There's one step down. And this one is for sure marketed, and I have this in, verbatim from the Miller rep, that it's marketed toward like heavy industry.
Yeah.
Because it's 3-phase, it doesn't come with a plug, it's meant to be directly wired.
That's not,
Apparently.
this isn't for Gen Z.
No,
This ain't a TikTok welder.
this is not a TikTok welder. And this is super one of those things that if you pony up 10 grand, you're gonna beat people over the head with that for the rest of your life. You'd be like,
Yeah.
that's a $10,000 welder right there, kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, cool, I can do the same welds with my $2,000 Everlast.
Yeah.
But where it does separate from all the TIG welders I've used so far is AC. It has incredible AC stability and feel. Really like the arc characteristics on AC for aluminum. But who's it for? I don't know. At this price, we haven't tested the other two yet, but at that price, I severely doubt it's for me. It's definitely not for your home garager unless you just have money burning a hole in your pocket. And even then, I'd rather spend, I mean, you could buy a car.
Yeah.
A nice car
Yeah.
for the cost of that TIG welder. So you need to very heavily weigh what that investment is for you.
To be fair, there's no check engine lights on. The Miller
Yeah.
isn't throwing any codes right
Well,
now.
and to be fair, to get it to work, you need to spend another $1,500.
Fair. We're all fair now.
Okay, I'm sort of tired of the Miller.
So Aaron, what are we doing now?
We are gonna go bury this torch head out in the parking lot.
We're gonna put a CK Worldwide number 17, the CK17 FX flex head, air-cooled torch on here. And then we're gonna put some furic gas lenses on here.
And have we officially tried this pedal with the Miller machine? I know it
No.
works. I wonder if it works backwards as
Oh,
well.
yeah. That's a funny bit. So Miller didn't send us a foot pedal, but HTP did. And they claim to use a Miller style plug. So we're gonna see if the HTP foot pedal works on the Miller machine. Because if it does, boy, would I have a hard time spending $650 when I could spend, I'm sure, quite a bit less. It's the there's a tag on the
Yeah.
bottom of that thing.
It is the SSC model C810-1425.
Already a better engagement from that. So the HTP foot pedal with the Miller style plug is $200. Let's find out if it operates the welder.
Well, you can get it for $175.
Whoa.
You can get it for $175. Gotta love clear marketing.
That's a substantial difference in price.
Wow, what a low price.
Although I will say, I like the Miller pedal a little bit more.
Do you like it $450 more?
I don't know. No,
Like it three
I
times
don't.
as much?
I do like that it's
And
got
if you
the
stomped
heel
on
catcher.
it every day, all day,
Yeah, I mean, I like the heel catcher
Yep.
component of it, and that is kind of top heavy, so it's wider at the top and smaller base,
Mm-hmm.
and the Miller's reversed.
I'm gonna kick this thing. That sounded like positive engagement to me.
Indeed.
I hear gas. That's
Oh
wild.
my word.
HTP is gonna get some heat for this, I guarantee it. Sorry, Peter. Also, Miller, wake up.
Yeah. Someone can lose it on the
I don't want to. Do you guys appreciate what we're doing for you right now? I hope you do. You know what's free? Speaking of price, subscribing to Lift Arc Studios. That's 100% free. And look at all the content you get for free.
Satisfaction guaranteed.
Satisfaction, poorly insured.
Yeah.
All right, it is time for a gas lens.
Oh.
So I think we don't need the 14. I say we just put a jazzy 10 on there, nothing too egregious, and just make our lives better. We'll get a 3/30 seconds collet and lens. It's the gas lens insulator, which I think is this one. I mean, shout out Michael Furyk. I've met this dude in person. What a great guy. And all his stuff is very well made. Okay, the Jazzy 10. Recommended gas flow is 25 CFH. In fact, you should film that. And then you guys pause the screen.
Yeah, that's a great little cheat sheet.
Furyk, Michael sent this with the cut. I think this comes with every kit. And boy, is that helpful. So the Jazzy 10, DC only, 25 CFH of flow. Cool part about a gas lens is you can run quite a bit more stick out, which is good because that's a full length tungsten and that's as far in as it's going. Okay, so we are gonna be using 3 big changes. Flex head, CK worldwide torch, number 10, Furyk Jazzy 10 gas lens, and then the HTP foot pedal that just so happens to use a Miller style plug. This ought to be revolutionary. Aaron, what do you say?
Send it. I'm excited.
You wanna jump in on some stainless?
Sure.
I stopped with the aluminum, so you're up. All right, 25 CFH dialed in. We're gonna go process, DC TIG, high frequency, trigger, foot pedal, no pulse, right?
No pulse to start, please.
This might be an internet first because I don't know how many other HTP machines had a Miller style plug for their amp controls. As far as I know, it could just be this new one. So let's see if you can plug a $200 or $175 SSC foot pedal with a Miller plug into the Miller Dynasty 300. Aaron, no pressure, but the entire world is watching right now. That sure does look like it's working.
It is working.
Why would you ever buy the Miller foot pedal?
Is this legal?
I think somebody's gonna be getting in trouble.
Probably us.
Probably us.
Feels great.
I mean, you've got a flex head torch, a gas lens, and a foot pedal. This has gotta be night and day.
Yeah, I would like this metal to be a little cleaner, but.
No, God, he's never satisfied. Just kidding.
So true.
When is it gonna be good enough? Can I hold anything for you?
My hand.
D's? My hand. What's that orange bar? That just means the arc is on.
The foot pedal warning.
God, I can't wait for them to like try to code this out with firmware or something. Like, non-official Miller attachment connected.
Warranty voided.
Yeah, right. Some like fake fuse inside blows. And,
Well, yeah, because then you can just.
oh yeah, dude. Motor in.
Foot pedals are so superior.
Yeah. I mean, when you can use a foot pedal, use a foot pedal.
You do the other side?
Oh, sure. I was gonna illustrate to people my biggest grievance with the Miller torch, and it is that this, other than the fact that it's rigid, this handle,
Well, hot dog in the hallway
far
situation.
too much slop. Whereas on the CK Worldwide one, that's never coming off.
You watch yourself. That's a $200 handle.
Buddy, you're not a Magnum. Quit lying to yourself.
Yeah, that's a Skins. Oh, look, I can bend it. That sure is nice.
So all you need to do
The only thing you need to change is everything. And then it becomes a really nice welder.
Well, if you want to stick with Miller, all you need to do is spend an extra $5,000 almost.
No, if you
only want to stick with Miller.
well, $650 for the foot pedal, $300 for the contractor pack, and then another $100 for gas lenses, and another $150 for a flex head torch. So what is that? It's like, let's call it $1,500. So your 10,000 welder, you're gonna be into it for 11,500
To get this experience.
to have a decent experience. I don't hate this foot pedal, man. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's no, I definitely.
I mean, action-wise, it's smooth and yeah, one pass and I'm used to this. I'm not gonna tell you not to buy this machine because it's an incredible machine, all things considered. And once you dial it in, like I'm in full transparency at this point, I've done an entire 16th inch stainless 3-inch exhaust system for my buddy Corey. I've done a bunch of aluminum welding with this machine and I've loved every minute of it. But I did all that work with a foot pedal, a flex head torch, and some gas lenses. Mm-hmm. So once you put it, you know, make it what you want, it's a phenomenal machine. The menu's clunky, but again, you can get used to anything. There were people that learned how to use a Zune. Same thing.
Were you making calls on that yesterday?
Final thoughts on the Miller Dynasty 300 for people like us.
For people like us?
Yeah, mentally challenged, mentally handicapped, at-risk kids.
You know, it's, I would say it's for the professional, somebody who has a legacy relationship with Miller, most likely. I would imagine I would really be willing to bet quite a bit that is no one, whoever's buying that's not going to be their first Miller.
And it's probably not the only one in their shop.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, and then an interesting twist on that is that that's probably going to be, Miller has connections with all the community colleges, all the trade schools.
Yeah.
Actually, Lincoln has a bigger part of that pie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Lincoln puts a lot of machines in schools.
But that's smart because that's what those kids learn on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're like, I learned on red, I stick with red. Yeah, that's not exactly relevant for these machines. Miller's not gonna put $10,000 TIG machines in a school. They would put the lower one and probably the one that's auto set with no screen, you know, get them used to the Miller arc, softball them. But final thoughts, I mean, I sort of said a lot of it already, but.
Yeah, no, I think it's a solid machine. I think there's a steeper learning curve on the interface than I would like. But, and again, I mean, someone go shoot that thing out back. That
Yeah.
scroll wheel, I hate that so
I mean,
much.
this looks homemade. We could 3D print something better than that.
I would imagine, yeah. Spike!
It does do some cool things. There's some tricks that the Miller has that we haven't shown today. They have a quiet pulse technology where like they round the square waves and do a sine
soft
wave
square
so it's
situation.
quiet. There are pictures on the screen that show you how the arc changes and how the puddle changes when you change certain settings. Depending on your experience level, that could be really helpful.
I would say Miller's probably not thrilled with our experience with it because we haven't taken the time to really learn the machine, but also that's not the point. We are the lowest common denominator right now.
Yeah.
So we're just being real on it, and it's a little clunky in some ways, but it probably will stand the test of time, I would imagine.
I can't imagine you'd buy
it better.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said when the Miller guy was here. I'm like, I sure do hope this is the last welder you have to buy because at that price.
But I'm excited to use the other machines.
You know, it is the smallest form factor of the three. It's the smallest package, which could be relevant to somebody. So there's that.
Not the size of the package, it's the shape of the wave.
How's that for a wave? Bye.
Soft square.
Miller Dynasty 300, $9,915 US.
That's so much money. And I just saw an email from CyberWeld alerting of another price increase. So
From Miller.
yeah. So
At the time of this video, March 6th, $9,915.
it may be a good investment at this point. Buy one and wait and sell it.
Yeah, total. That price doesn't come with a welding torch.
Yeah.
Need I say more? On to the Fronius.
Yeah.
Or, need I say more? We do not have a foot pedal for this machine. So, but we have some fancy ass torch, so let's see how that goes. God damn, that's a big wire. This is like a garden hose. I don't know if I talked about this at the beginning of this video, but this cast brass ground clamp is kind of insane. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Proprietary connector here. First thing I'll notice, sure is making me feel dumb all of a sudden though. I've got this dangly plug for the amperage control part of it. We've got a tag here that says duty cycle 100 on 220. Is this all on 220? 220 amps, 35% duty cycle, 170 amps, 60% duty cycle, 130 amps, 100% duty cycle. So you can run this thing at 130 amps forever. Zip tied to the top of the Fronius is 3 years full warranty.
Wow.
So there you go. All right, contact.
She takes a minute to wake up.
Let's see if it's capable of remembering what day it is. Control panel. All right, so at the top of the screen, we have the status bar, which displays current welding process, current operating mode, selected current type, active functions, indication of electrode overload, status of the power source, locked or unlocked, active Bluetooth connection, time and date. This thing has Bluetooth. Below that, we have the home button. Oh, let's see. No, we don't. We're somewhere else right now. Main current in Austrian is Hopstrom. Nice gas purge, dedicated gas purge button. Let's see, controls, commissioning. First thing you do, press the welding process key. We want TIG, and we want 2-step, 4-step, or spot. Let's go 2-step. Select the desired welding process, confirm selection by pressing the adjusting dial. Select the required parameter. Okay, then it says open the gas cylinder, test the flow, turn the adjusting screw on the underside of the pressure, yeah. Oh, step 14 is start welding.
Oh,
okay. Okay, so we're DC, start current. Okay, this is weird. We get a percentage start current. That's okay. But all right, main.
Can we set things to freedom units on there? Or is it metric only?
Well, amperage is amperage. What do you want to change?
Well, your tungsten is
Oh, yeah.
in
Good point.
mils. Initial feedback on menu navigation. And interface.
This is very similar to the.
Can I kill it?
It's okay.
should be able to hear you clearly no matter what.
This is very similar to our the menu in that camera. It's got this like header navigation, and then you have to click into that and go down. It's definitely not my favorite, but I like the wheel a lot more than that, so the wheel being better makes it a little less miserable. These paddles that you pull back to initiate the arc, spring-loaded so it returns to center, but you're also pulling on it instead of pushing, which pushing does some of this. Pulling is much more natural.
And it doesn't have that resistant click to get started that you have to like get over that hill.
It's like a tuned trigger in a handgun. Like it's just like just enough pressure to get over it. I like it.
Sounded good.
I like it. It's a little hot, but look what I can do.
Yeah.
Weird. Up is down and down is up, but okay. I'll play your game, Fronius. That's kind of trick. Just being able to change that over here. Man, go down to 100 amps. Really, 80 amps is probably where I'm gonna end up. But yeah, I mean, my heat effect zone is still enormous, but I'm enjoying myself. That is just baller. That might be the best inside corner joint I've ever done in my life. Look at that.
Hot damn. Holy.
Oh man, that's lovely. I mean,
I had the rest of them up too high is what I just learned.
yeah, and if that had cooled a little bit more
Yeah.
when you started, that would have been
I mean, that's
got dog.
Fronius perfect welding.
Okay, all right, I see you, Fronius.
Damn, man.
Right out the box.
This is by far a better out-of-the-box welding experience than I had with the Miller.
I wasn't expecting that big of a difference, to be honest.
No, and we're using a standard cup and collet,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not a foot pedal.
Half the price, you say?
Literally half the price. I'm just enjoying welding. I don't have anything to talk about. Tacking is real nice. God, these paddles just feel. You know when you were a kid and you go over to your buddy's house to play Nintendo and like they give you one of those crappy third-party controllers and it's not like a Nintendo OEM and you're just like, all the buttons are mushy. And it's like, I feel like I have an OEM controller in my hand again.
So if you go with a foot pedal, do you still stick with that torch?
Well, that's
In that setup?
when Laine brought it over. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
this torch and foot pedal.
They had the wireless.
But I think, and I don't want to say this, yeah, they had the Bluetooth foot pedal with the hook for your foot.
That was nice.
Fronius has the dopest foot pedal of any of them. But I want to say you can get a flex head attachment for this. I could be wrong, but when they're interchangeable like this, it certainly would seem like you could get whatever you want. You guys can like listen to music or whatever.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. I'm just having a blast. Already, I don't feel myself like worrying about hitting the wrong button.
That's impressive.
And it might be that I weld left-handed.
Yeah.
And the power, the trigger is on the left side of the torch.
Oh, yeah.
You know, over here. So like, it's natural for me. If I was right-handed, I would want it to be this button maybe, but at least it is a pullback.
Do some initial thoughts.
Can you shut up? I'm welding. Just kidding.
I have to run some errands in a little second. So just...
Okay. Wow.
Reboot goofing over there.
It is impossible to overstate how nice this out-of-the-box experience is. Is that a Miller? Let's put that over here. This is everything that it came with. Standard cup and collet set, long back cap. But this torch is trick. Being able to change the amperage from over here, that doesn't exist anywhere else. That is, as far as I know, that is completely exclusive to Fronius. The built-in light, I mean, that's probably why they pre-wrap this cord, because there's a lot more going on in here than normal. Like there's control wires and power wires, and yeah, I can feel 3 different wires in here. That's awesome. And I think once you, I don't know, I think it turned itself off every time. And I weld left-handed, so that power, it'd be interesting to see what you think, but the power paddle is on the left side of the torch. So, and it's super responsive. I love it. And those are not bad welds. I mean, hot rolled steel does not like TIG weld super clean anyway, but with some dialing in and heat control, maybe a pulsar or 2, that feels awesome.
Cool.
I think you're up for pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like that, we're back.
Wow.
All right.
Great afternoon.
Wow, a lot's happened in this 3 hours we were gone.
It was a good lunch.
Real time, we've been gone about a week. And since then, we've used several of these machines. You've used one of them for a lot of intensive aluminum work.
Sure did.
The Austrian lass
Yeah.
we have on the cart. I've used the HTP for some things, and I used the Everlast for something else the other day, but
The Miller's here.
we've had to keep, the Miller's still here. We've had to keep working. Walker took a vacation, and now we're back. So, why don't you go ahead and share your fresh thoughts about AC welding with this girl?
With this redhead?
Yeah.
She's great. She's got some quirks for sure. I really, honestly, I came into this one in particular expecting to really dislike the actual torch handle. Really like it. It's very intuitive in a lot of ways, and despite my frustrations with certain elements of it, I was surprised at how quickly this felt natural. Now, I still have some issues with it. I found myself using it this way a lot.
Because you have to have a finger here.
You do.
You have no option.
Yeah, your thumb it doesn't feel, and it really kind of limits your scope of where you can kind of go with it.
Right.
However, in doing a whole lot of AC welding, which if you want to pan over to your left.
Build
there,
some workbenches.
Yeah. It gets hot. It gets real hot. Now it's typical with an air-cooled torch, but
Right.
I would have guessed.
And aluminum, your electrode's hotter than normal anyway.
Well, and one of my gripes with it is one of the reasons it got hotter is I consistently, with gloves on, you're welding, I consistently was triggering it and then also increasing the amperage at the same time because these buttons are side by side. Now there's a little divider in there.
Yeah.
However, both buttons are proud of that divider. So
And
if
with
you've got a
gloves.
glove, it's very easy. Like right there, you can see me.
Wow,
pulling
that
both
thing
down,
goes up fast.
and it rockets up, and it'll blow out. It'll blow out a joint very quickly, and you're like, "What just happened?" And it's like,
but
"Oh,
you've just skyrocketed.
I've just
your amperage.
skyrocketed it." So, my immediate feedback on this in particular is, I wish one button would cancel out the other.
Like if your arc is on, you should
shouldn't be able
nullify.
to, exactly. You should only be able to adjust your amperage if you don't have an arc struck,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Because this is not supposed to take the place of a foot pedal, this switch here.
Yeah, and I mean,
If you need to make an adjustment,
I
do
suppose there's a world in which you're an F1 caged welder where you're like, okay, I need to slowly increase my amperage as I'm coming in here. Like,
But that's what
maybe.
the upslope and downslope are for.
Exactly.
You know, like you don't need to be doing all that.
So, and as it gets hotter, you certainly kind of move your hand around to compensate to try and like avoid the heat, especially for me doing this. Like I found myself going to this,
Yeah.
and that would just then almost kind of compile the likelihood of adjusting the amperage up or down. It went both ways, like really inadvertent. Like and I was using like really kind of slimline gloves as well. But even, you can kind of go up and down if you pull in the wrong way. If you're pulling at an angle kind of, you can be pushing your amperage down as you're striking an arc, even just by like twisting slightly as you're like working around a joint. Your hand motion like that,
I can hear
like
it.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, that's so little effort and like,
And you've gone down 40 amps.
yeah, and that's just
Yeah.
like the side of my finger barely touching that. So, but
Did you use the light at all?
I didn't, not once. But I was doing AC, so like
Yeah.
it was a little bit overkill. I could definitely see doing some thin wall stainless stuff, loving that light, and I would like that opportunity at some point
Yeah.
because that does seem like a nice feature. That being said, it is so nice being able to adjust your amperage without getting up. It's really
kinda
great.
rad. Yeah.
So it is it's a two-edged sword, and I think it is like one revision away from being an incredible experience. But it's an incredible experience with some very frustrating caveats, so that's why she's our F. She's my F.
So what's the solution? Would be making that switch further apart, smaller.
It almost seems like it could be a software update.
I love how the button feels.
Yeah, like the tactile is great on it.
There could be a setting, and we have not fully explored. So if you're taking to your keyboard right now to cuss us out, be nice.
Someone at Fronius is like, "Oh, I put in this. I wrote that code."
Yeah, right.
And I just haven't dug into it enough.
Well,
but
it also goes to prove how cumbersome the menu.
The menu is extensive, and we went through every page, and I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah.
But maybe I didn't know what I was looking for.
the cap shaping feature with AC welding is really great. Enjoyed that. Used
Yeah.
that more than I'd like. And there was lots of like, blow out, get some spatter because I ran the amperage up without realizing it, and then was pissed off, and then walk over there. I'm like, well, that's a nice feature to be able to shape the cap. So it's kind of like, it creates your itch and scratches it.
That's great.
to closed loop water cycle.
Exactly.
Now the three things that you weren't using and we haven't used on this yet are gas lens, potential flex head, and foot pedal.
Correct.
Those could be very big game changers because foot pedal, I would imagine, probably nullifies some of these buttons, if not all of them. I hope.
I would hope so, but
Yeah.
I also could see a scenario because, as I understand it, and as I've experienced it so far, these don't override each other.
They're not
so you
exclusive.
can kind of do it. So I would imagine
Yeah.
a foot pedal would probably be the same. If not, that also kind of sucks then, because then if you're using a foot pedal, and there's only one way to find out, but if you're using a foot pedal, I would presume that then kills your ability to adjust the amperage on the fly from here.
Yeah, or can you still use this to set your amp ceiling like you typically do with a foot pedal?
But then
in this case, you now have two things changing the amperage.
Well, and then you still have the possibility, and probably even more so because you aren't using that to arc it.
And you don't know which one is changing
you probably could still adjust that without intending to. So,
Austrians, get on it if you haven't already.
yeah. And it, otherwise, like everything, it feels nice. Like this doesn't feel like cheap plastic. Like it is just a very nice like form function.
Oh yeah, the fit and finish of how everything's made
It's
is
great.
really
Like
nice.
the hose, while very heavy, I mean, there are certainly some times where I like felt like I was, had an anaconda around my neck.
Yeah.
But I understand why. There's technology in there. And
Yeah, there's like 3 different cables in
Exactly.
here. And it's not even water cooled. So if you water cool it, there'd be another 2 pipes in there.
But
I guess.
She's still my F.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not gonna M her.
Yeah, no, yeah, that'd be a lifetime of
And
resentment.
I'm not gonna care either. Because she's great. She's got some great features.
Yeah.
We're just not ready for that relationship.
All right, so we're gonna jump right back into is this chromoly or just DOM?
Just DOM.
Some DOM steel tubing, a little bit of a fun fit up here. Do you remember what you were, about 100 amps or something? Oh, Pulse, yeah, I'm gonna go straight up. She sure does have a stable arc, I will say. Love it. It's very smooth. It's the puddles coming together real easy. Nice and predictably. It's just when especially doing tube, man, moving all this hardware around I find I would definitely do shorter stitches with a setup like this because it makes me want to stop before I get too far because I just don't have the dexterity to move all this around.
100%. Doing square tube versus round tube.
Yeah.
There's such an advantage to square.
And really, this would be an hour of just like muscle memory practice trying to get this motion down. I'll try. Here we go. Here's a pivot. Go, go, go. There's so much to pay attention to. It's getting hot.
Now, I will say I'm noticing for you,
Got too hot there.
with being a lefty torch holder,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be way less likely to bump the amperage than I am.
It's never been a
holding-
problem.
Yeah. So me having it on the other side.
But most people are like you.
Right.
Like I am in the minority there. Let's get in the crotch. So the part's getting heat soaked. I'm gonna back it down a little bit. How would I do in your frame welding apprenticeship program?
Be a little hot. I'd get you on a different torch.
I wouldn't do this to you. I would love to try your little number 20 water-cooled torch.
I've been doing some after-hours welding, and it is like, it's made me appreciate it.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, that's...
Especially with a little 16th inch electrode.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's like the holy grail of setups, right? Just like...
And 035 filler, like it's...
Foot pedal, none of this distraction.
Yeah,
You can grab it like a pencil.
Exactly.
I've seen enough here. I'm quite pleased. It's pretty, I mean, DC welding is you would hope something of this caliber and of a 2024 model. It should be all right with our lavs, yeah. All right, so now I've been eager since watching you yesterday. I really want to try some aluminum, and maybe we'll have some epiphanies. Who knows? Being that we're using a standard cup, the switchover is very easy. I'm just going to swap electrodes. So we've been using 2% serrated gray tungsten for DC, and I'm going to switch over to a brown tungsten, which is can't remember, I've said it already in this video, but it's from Arc Zone. It's specifically formulated for aluminum, but there are many, I mean, tungsten use and what kind and for what metal is heavily contested online, so doesn't matter what I say I'm using, I'm gonna receive flack for it, but I have had great experience with this, this brown tungsten from Arc Zone. So that's what I'll be using. 3/32, standard collet, standard cup. I'm just giving these aluminum pieces a little Scotch-Brite action, which is my preferred cleaning method. If you really want to do it right, you can follow it closely with a little bit of acetone. Aluminum's very sensitive. You know, you can rely on the cleaning action of the TIG welder to do some of your heavy lifting, but you will always get a better result if you clean your base, clean your filler, purge your gas, clean your tungsten, fresh tip. This is what, 1/8" tube, something like that. Schedule.
Yeah.
Schedule 40. Get on my schedule. Pipe schedule is such a dumb way to measure wall thickness. Burial system. All right, so I'm gonna go over here and switch to AC, which is all the way left in the menu. Then we'll go through the setup again. Up slope, I like to keep that pretty low. Main current we can change. Down slope, it's good to have a decent down slope with aluminum so you can keep it from cratering or maybe prevent some cracks. We'll just keep it at the standard 35% balance. And I believe I already have a cap on this one, so we will do that. Let's see, we got any filler? That's aluminum there, I think. All right, sir, how would you fixture this up?
I was looking a little too stubby to use anything other than magnets, I believe.
Anytime I do aluminum, it's usually a big enough switch from what I've been doing to where I like wanna see it somewhere that doesn't matter before I touch it to my part or ruin something. So let's light up. Do you remember what frequency you were on? Higher or lower?
I think we went a little higher.
Did you? 120 or even higher? Let's see. See if I can guess. That sounds like 120. We'll see if we stick it at 120. It was definitely not hot enough though. Oh, come on. Why wouldn't you reset to home if I pressed the button? Just hit the home, yeah. That's annoying. Let's see if 100 gets a bead going. Let's try 120. All right, feeling good. Decent little cleaning action. All right, let's try to tack this thing up here. Wow, that is garbage. I mean, maybe this tube is just filthy, but that was gross. Nah, something's definitely not right. That is horrible. I did some AC with this several days ago, and it was not that bad.
Watch, now that is also something I found. Hanging it that way presses the button.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right, so there's several things to think about now. Gas, we are at the bottom of a tank of argon, and it's not UHP argon, ultra high purity, so there's a chance there's shit in the gas at the bottom of the tank. or gas coverage. Either getting too much gas coverage can be bad for aluminum because it makes the arc turbulent, or not enough. Clearance effect, and then size of the tip. So what I've heard is when you're using a standard cup and collet for aluminum, you really want to size the cup to the joint and have very minimal stick out. So I think the first thing I'm going to try is bump the flow up a little bit and just see if more gas coverage. Somewhere, I mean,
like
I was
18.
told that should be plenty. I was told 13 is the butter zone, so let's see. That's what it was on, but let's just see, let's change one variable at a time and see what happens. Definitely better. Good cut, sir. Right there at the end, it started bubbling up. What a gross reaction. This, I'm sure, is user error. There's no way this machine is just this bad at aluminum. There's all kinds of things we could try. This collet's been run hot pretty good for a few days.
That's the other.
God, that's bad.
You would, for me, doing that piece, you know pretty immediately if it's going to be good or bad.
Yeah.
Like there's no, it didn't really turn bad. It was kind of bad from the gate.
Yeah.
And there were just a couple joints that were just electric chicken welds.
Yeah.
Versus the other ones, which would just look like beautiful stack of dimes.
Right. I'm gonna try smaller cup, little less stick out, on the recommendation of a one Mark Winchester out in the West Coast. That looks like hell. You going to a 5.
Or is that a 6?
This was a 6, and I'm pushing in the tungsten just a little bit. Get a little more localized gas coverage. Yeah, that was a pretty immediate difference. Pretty immediate. So, too much stick out, maybe too big of a cup. I mean, look, all I changed was the cup. That's crazy. Gas flow, man. Aluminum is so sensitive to gas flow. This is one, again, where it's hard to move real fast. I don't have a vent hole, so that could be fun. It's also very sensitive to torch angle, too. Like, it needs to be perfectly perpendicular. Gonna keep turning it down because we're getting hot. Now, trouble spot. I wonder if I can just start right on top of it, if it's a contamination problem or if it's just flow. Fucking asshole. Hand slipped off the magnet and just went. I think I've seen enough. In some ways it's reassuring, and in some ways it's disappointing. Like, I've always struggled with aluminum. That's a me problem. And I guess briefly my history was I started on an Eastwood, then got to use a Miller Dynasty 210. And I honestly had decent aluminum experience with both of those machines. And then I got to this shop and got an Everlast 210 EXT and had very wildly varying experiences with aluminum. All of which I've seen an example of here. I mean, just unexplainable contamination, puddle inconsistencies, like changes in the puddle mid-weld, like good, bad all of a sudden, changing certain variables that give you hope, and then the same variables don't have the same changes later when you change them. Like, I've always struggled at getting confident with aluminum. I will say, the one thing we should try is some of Furik's gas lenses are approved for aluminum. And the last time I did any aluminum welding in this shop, I put a gas lens on, and it was nice. So maybe we clean some of this stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Switch to a gas lens and see if we can't
Let's do it.
get back on the horse.
Yeah.
He welded for the last 2 days. Had, a great success. It's a great piece, and would you
Yeah, but
agree?
it was a
80%
very
of it?
similar experience. It was
Yeah.
either it went great or it was just unexplainably bad.
Yeah.
It looks like two different people welded on that thing.
Yeah, right.
As a result.
time to go to the Furic FU17-SK starter kit. We can do a number 8 cup at 20 CFH. One of these guys, the number 8 Pro. Fronius sends over this really nice box for all these tips, but it's just standard cups, standard collets. Same old song and dance as always. Boy, that is a deep torch. All right, so Furic number 8, 3/32 gas lens, rated for aluminum. I don't believe stick out's gonna be an issue anymore, but we gotta run it at 20 CFH. Is this the big break the guys have been looking for? What a new strange problem. Just can't get the puddle to jump across the gap, but no contamination though. Let's try this some new. Ow. All right. Weld looks good. Clearance effect is good.
Nice and shiny.
Nice and shiny. All right, so let's turn this thing up quite a bit. See if we can't get an inside corner joint to kiff. That is the strangest problem. It's like the arc is picking a side and it won't flip over. That seems to me like it could be a tungsten shape problem, but I'm gonna turn it up even more, try to get ahead of the heat. Yeah, that helped. Ah. Ooh, it's hot. But it worked. Man, I was adding a lot. Once it established the puddle, it just wanted to melt, so I had to move. Okay, all right, now we're talking. Just ate through the filler. We're out of 3/32, right? Yeah. It's okay, you can turn this in at 3/32 if you feed it twice as fast. Very strange arc behavior. I'm gonna try a new tungsten with a fresh tip just to eliminate that variable. Because I am, whatever the opposite of arc focus is what I have right now. You got any needle nose pliers laying around? The tungsten is developing this like black stain on it.
I noticed
about an
that.
inch down, which is
Right where the copper meets.
yeah, I think that collet was destroyed because it looked a little deformed compared to the new one. So I'm gonna take just a perfectly cut brand new tungsten, got the cap shaping feature on the Fronius, and that will basically, the first time you light up the arc, it's, I guess I don't really know exactly what it's doing, you guys can tell me, but for the duration you hold the trigger on that first time when the setting's on, it'll shape the cap. And then when you let off, it's back to normal. So I'm just gonna do that now and see what happens. Wild. Just turned it right into a ball. Still pretty blunt, but let's see what happens now. Oh boy. Way hotter now. Really wish that screen would reset, Fronius.
Agreed. It is nice they still show it there, but it seems very redundant.
Right. I don't need to just sit here and know that
Stare
cap
it
shaping
off,
is
yeah.
off. Like, come on. Reasonably good. Still very blunt. I'm kind of tempted to grind a point like I would normally and see. Because I have to imagine the more blunt the tungsten is, the less focused that arc is, and that might be why I'm having such a hard time getting in these inside corner joints. Well, how about this? I'll use something a little less contaminated.
That's our aluminum only sanding belt, don't worry. No steel ground on that. Hear that, internet?
Now, this is what I've always done. Just start with sharp and the cap will usually just shape itself depending on amperage and balance. Much better puddle characteristics and a much smaller cleaning line. So based on the amperage I'm set at, it's not advantageous just to put a cap on a flat tungsten because you can see the taper, it's only balling the very tip of the taper and not the whole thickness of the tungsten. So I think I'm gonna get a lot better arc focus now that I've got still a ball, but on the tip of the tungsten. Let's see. Still having a hell of a time getting it to the puddles to connect. Inside corner joints or aluminum are by far my least favorite. They're so difficult. Outside corner joints, no problem at all. Butt joints, never had an issue. It's also where a pedal's really nice because I like to crank the amperage all the way up, floor it to establish that puddle, and then back off because you don't need that heat all the way through. So time to get good with both fingers. Ladies, sorry. I'm sorry, it's a family show. It's weird how I don't smell that staunch smell with DC. It doesn't smell the same. Is that all argon, or am I also smelling some off gas from the aluminum?
Probably something from the aluminum.
Yeah, I'm right in it. Oh, that was nice. That just ate rod. I don't know, man. Tungsten's blue, which means it's not getting enough gas coverage, but I will say the head of this Fronius torch is sort of deeper than most, and it seemed like I had to screw the gas lens much deeper into the head, which means technically the gas lens is way deeper in the head than it normally would be. I don't know if that's affecting anything about gas flow, but it felt very proprietary and very different compared to every other 17 series torch head I've screwed the gas lens onto. I believe I've run out of skill.
Check your skill tank. Your skill flow.
Yeah. Do you have any parting words? I feel a bit defeated. This
No,
has not been my best experience.
We
have one more welder to. I didn't struggle this hard with the Miller, I will say. Just based on observation.
AC wise?
Yeah, AC wise. I know you can't tell by looking at this abomination I've created, but I don't remember having this type of. I mean, look, that was a much lower amperage, nice, neat, flowy inside corner joint, and to get these to flow, I had to just floor it and then add like crazy to make up the difference because I was so hot. 330 seconds would have helped for sure, but
yeah,
whatever.
Similar to your experience on that.
Yeah, it was really hit or miss, and the hits were extreme. It was high highs and low lows in terms of like, that looks really great, I'm proud of that, or that makes me want to stop welding altogether.
Well, if you'd like your welder to be bipolar, then the hot ones are crazy. So far, that initial metaphor has been holding true.
Yep.
I can't wait to marry the HTP. We haven't even used it yet. Would you like to do any of these with the Fronius? Some DC, you want to do some DC gas lens stuff with the Fronius?
Sure, I'll do a little stainless scorer.
I'm gonna hook you up with the Furic Mark 14.
Ah, yes.
Big fat girl. And we'll set you at 35 to 40 CFH. Go ahead and get rid of the last of this argon. We'll go back to the main screen. We will go DC. And kind of leave it all there. So you're back on DC. Oops. Oh, geez.
150s.
Probably hot, way hot for this, yeah. Gas coverage seem good? Mm-hmm. Nice. Nice. We're back on 1/8" stainless steel, 1-inch tubing, serrated tungsten sharpened to a point, Furic MK14 gas lens, and Aaron behind the wheel.
Long downslope on that.
Oh, yeah, we've still got it set. Yeah, because sometimes I saw you doing it using the downslope as like a pulsar almost. Steve said he did that in the Navy a lot because the machines were always so far away that you can just, you'd hear them peck with they'd have triggers. You're back at a second. You want a little less?
That's fine. Stainless steel is dirty.
Yeah. I'll sharpen some tungsten. Prepare for the HTP. The hizzle, tizzle, pizzle. Sorry.
Is that what it stands for?
I'm sorry. I apologize for who I am. What are you, my therapist?
No, and I definitely should be.
For some reason, my brain goes, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm mic'd up.
Do you switch back to that steel belt?
What's that?
Do you switch back to that steel abrasive belt?
I did, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I've gotten really fast at it.
Yeah.
Used my silent vice grips.
It's got its place.
Yeah, somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think I have anything to say that I haven't said already in terms of
Yeah, same.
high highs and low lows. There's some features I really like, and there's some features that, you know, maybe even a software update could completely change for me.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I actually am leaving liking it more than I anticipated.
Sure.
Just because I thought I was going to hate this, and I don't.
There's some really clever engineering that's been done here.
100%.
I'd like a Fronius daily driver to reach out to us and, you know, what have you done to your machine and your torch to make it feel good for aluminum welding? Maybe settings. I don't know how long we'll have this thing for, but by the time you're watching this, if you have some ideal settings for 1/8" aluminum, you could throw our way and we could maybe test and do a revisit video. Sure would make Aaron and I feel less like failures if we could get some good aluminum beads out of this machine, but I'm ready to move on.
She's my F.
Best way to get over one welder is to get under another one. Alrighty then, it's time to meet your wife. We are now moving to the HTP Invertig 251DV. Brand new to the market. Not even on their website yet. I hope maybe it is by the time you're watching this. usaweld.com for all your HTP needs. This machine was sent to us with a 26 series air-cooled flex head torch, 24-foot lead, and a foot pedal, which you've seen us use already in the Miller review. The foot pedal comes with the 14-pin Miller style plug, which is very cool. But I imagine Aaron and I are about to have a much more pleasant experience because we can immediately hit the gate with a flex head and a pedal. We did not ask for them to, that's just how the machine came to us. So
They know their audience.
And no other amperage control, so we're being as fair as we can. Let's do it. Neither one of us have done AC welding on this machine yet. So settings, purge. So just two buttons. So from home, settings, purge.
That's a feather in every last cap.
Yeah,
Just having
right on
a
the front.
dedicated button. Do love that.
All right, so let's go through these settings here. We're on TIG 2T, let's see, mode. TIG 2T with a pedal or slider. DC, standard no pulse, high frequency, post-flow, pre-flow 0.2, post-flow 7, and it's DC, so we got a foot pedal. I'm gonna set it to 175 amps and meter it with my foot.
Tap those toes.
Let's do some boring DC mild steel with mill scale welding, huh? First tack. Woo! Oh my God, I love having a foot pedal. Cruising. Very hot. That's on me, not the welder. Yeah, I guess, yeah, reduce my ceiling, maybe 140 or 50, yeah. 250. Need to add more. See, and with the pedal, my instinct is to do sort of a natural pulse. Establish the pedal, bring it in, back off and move. Still very hot. I did the same thing with the Miller, so at least I'm consistent.
You gonna bring you down anymore?
No, I just need to lay off of it. Got the shakes. The amperage was making it dance. Let me try more filler, maybe to cool it down. A little better there. Flex head's real nice. Little lay wire inside corner joint. Like that. Cap
Doesn't
on.
beat that, because that was a high bar.
Yeah, true. Well, that was on a Thursday. This is a Monday after St. Patty's Day. Love getting shocked through the table. That's always fun. Could you give me a little more gas flow, please, sir? It's just so much better with the gas lens, but I'm having a pretty standard cup experience here. I already love that I can hold this however I want, flex the tip down using the foot pedal.
Not a little fart right out of the gate.
No, this is a very familiar environment for me
memory, yeah.
now. Yeah, muscle memory is definitely kicking in. My welds are not great, but mild steel with mill scale is not fun anyway, and standard cup is a little weird for me. A little bit thicker base now, 1/4 inch. Fuck.
It's the worst when the glove holds the heat too.
Mill scale undercut has been a very interesting revelation this year. You get hot enough to melt through the mill scale, but then it just washes out the base metal.
Metal avalanche.
Yeah. God, my hand hurts now. Putting it next to more heat feels really good too.
Exposure therapy.
You know, you can almost eliminate that undercut issue by just going hot and adding a lot. adding a lot of rod, and I guess when it starts to dig, there's enough metal there to like fill it
It
in.
almost like heat sinks it a little bit
Yeah,
too.
that's much better. It's probably one of my best standard cup mild steel mill scale welds to date. All right, well, I mean, this is immediately hit the skill barrier and not having to deal with the machine or set things up or struggle with things. Like, I'm just immediately to the point where I'm used to being, which is a not very good welder. But this thing, so they did send us a 26 series torch, which is enormous. But this machine is a 251, so 17 series torches are typically only rated for 175 amps, I think, maybe 200 max. This thing's rated for 350 amps. And it's a third-party deal. This is from Heavy Hitters. Know what I mean? Looks like glass fiber reinforced plastic base with nice flex head tip. It's aluminum time. All right, so standard cup. Might have a little too much stick out. It's crazy now that it doesn't ball at all. Like the point is staying sharp. It's good to me. Feeling pretty good. Yeah, the arc characteristics on the HTP feel awesome. So the HTP here has a lot of settings that allow you to change the characteristics of the actual AC waveform and the current and the penetration and the percentages on either side of the zero line. Now, inside corner joint, my brain goes higher frequency to focus the arc. Do you think it matters a whole lot? I think my gas, I'd probably need a bigger cup, but I want to try, that's why I'm active here. All this talk about sizing the cup to the joint, sizing the cup to the joint. Dirty as all hell. Looks pretty good. Aaron got his ass kicked on that thing. We were using the Fronius, I guess, the whole time, and I guess
It's either great or awful.
yeah, it's very obvious now that we didn't have enough gas flow and we were using a brown tungsten that we didn't need in the different, probably losing gas because of the flow meter thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a tough way to weld too, right into the corner. Gas coverage look good. I know you dipped once, but. Looks clean. So it's been a few days. And in real time, we've had this machine here, the Dynasty, for almost 2 months now. We got the Fronius several weeks ago, followed almost immediately by the HTP. But at this point, I have a bunch of use on the Miller with some exhaust work, and I have a decent amount of use on this and the least amount of use on this. You, though,
Yeah, I've been using this girl a whole lot. I've used that Dynasty less, to be sure, but it's kind of the big brother to my Dynasty 200 that I have that I'm very familiar with. And it is better in every way, but my opinion has shifted the most probably here. I was a little bit intimidated initially.
this is an intimidating machine.
Yeah,
a little
it's
bit.
just so different in every way. I mean, the form factor, the color, the You know, it doesn't look like any welder that I'm really familiar with. And it's, you know, it's not without its faults.
None of them are.
Yeah.
There's been some very clever engineering done on the Fronius side. I mean,
sure.
Of note, the controls on the torch, the interchangeable heads on the torch, the ball,
The cap forming.
cap forming
Yep.
setting for AC.
Love that.
Just the modularity of all the plugs,
Yep.
the 110 volt high side, the 170 amps on a 110 supply is pretty wild.
The screen angle, which is something I didn't really think I would care about until I started paying attention, and it's really nice having a angled screen.
Yeah, because most cars are probably lower than this.
Yeah,
They have
yeah.
it lower, and it is the only machine with a dedicated gas purge button on the face. This one's second easiest to get to. It's only one click away. This one, who knows where it is?
Which honestly, like having used all three machines, like at the end when I'm, you know, closing out the tank,
Yeah.
this is the only one that I used the purge feature on.
Yeah.
Like the rest, I'll just hold off the table.
Well, because it's right there.
It's right there.
If you got to hunt for it.
If I gotta
you know.
look in the menu, it's easier just to hold it off and hit the pedal till you see
Yeah.
the regulator empty out.
And men don't read instructions, let's be honest.
There.
Well, we are somewhat infamous for not reading the manual.
I, for one, am a fan of reading the manual, but I guess in most cases it makes better content if I don't read the manual.
Camera or no
But
camera.
I will quietly read these off camera, as I have been doing.
Any feedback on the manuals themselves?
Miller's manual is terrible.
Yeah.
There's these two have the most polar opposite manuals in existence. Like the Miller manual spends half the time telling you about the warranty that doesn't cover everything. And
The
it doesn't
warnings.
tell you how, like, there's zero in the manual for this thing about, like, hey, look for this, or if you notice this, change this setting. There is none of that. It is like, you have like an electrical schematic and then like a chart of settings and limits, and like, that's it. This thing expects you to be a professional and to know how to weld, and it's not gonna sugarcoat anything
And
for
that's
you.
certainly who it seemed it's geared towards.
Yeah, this is like especially this particular model, the 300 is clearly geared toward heavy industry. It didn't come with a plug because who knows what it's gonna be plugged into. I get that.
It's not your first TIG welder.
No, God no. And for not even my third.
Right.
But this welder was written in part by Peter and I think in part by somebody else.
Sure.
And then he said a ghostwriter somewhere. But this one, the manual for this is very conversational. It's
Yeah.
like, the ACE, aluminum welding is done typically this way, and we've introduced this setting to make it easier, so try this, try that. Like, it was actually somewhat enjoyable to read the manual for this machine, which is great because, not everybody gets the Peter experience, or Laine from Fronius to come by, or Rick from Miller to come by and teach you how to use these machines.
Right.
You just buy them and you have to, there's YouTube, which you're on obviously now, but some people don't. Old school guys aren't going to go to YouTube like our generation is first, So the good manual was a big deal, and that is a clear winner, I think, on the
No doubt.
HTP.
No doubt.
Fronius is really good too, but as far as like approachability, this one for sure. I was just dancing around that. But yeah, if we hadn't been given the walkthrough by the reps of each company, that would probably have influenced our experience quite a bit.
I like this welder more after Peter really kind of
Yes.
showed it off and really demonstrated what it could do.
HTP definitely has the least pretty menu system. These two have spent more time on the user interface and the fonts and the colors and the pictures. But everything you're looking for is in here.
Yeah.
And it's not super buried. This one is the most buried, menu-wise.
And again, any of these, I think if it's your main welder, it will become intuitive.
You'll learn
in
it.
time. Yeah, it'll make sense. But switching back and forth between the three is
That was a real
certainly-
mind
It is,
trip.
yeah.
This one, as far as actual interface, I like this knob the least.
100% agree with you
it's
on that.
The detents in between are real mushy, and it's the tiniest by far.
If you got gloves on,
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
just
pleasant.
mushing this around, and I've had it to where you highlight a setting, and then the act of pushing it alone turns it one more notch, and you miss it. The gas purge button is 3 layers deep. That being said, on this one you do have that interesting feature where it shows pictures.
All right, so we got 7 buttons and an interactive knob, 5 buttons and an interactive knob, 4 buttons and an interactive knob.
Yeah, and They all have home buttons, which is obviously a crucial feature. Half of, you know, two or one or two of these buttons on every screen is usually not used.
This seems the most efficient.
Yeah, this one, it's a scroll through. The home screen has 6-7 settings in AC or DC to kind of cycle through, which is okay. This one has the 3 main settings right on the home that you just sort of tick through with this one, which I liked that a lot once I got to use it. This has one of the more frustrating features where if you're in a menu and you go to weld again, it stays in the menu.
You got to follow your bread trail
like
all the way out.
Why does it not go back to home?
Yeah.
That is so frustrating on this machine. Best theme graphics probably goes to this one, I would say. Of course, that's the only one plugged in right now, but.
We get the "Hi, my name is" theme on the HTP.
Yeah. So where does that leave us? Which one did you find? I mean, you and I both have different degrees of use with these, but which one did you find the easiest?
I mean, at this point, I'm surprised to admit, and it's hard not to, knowing the price points on these, it's hard not to let that affect every single component of this for me. But all things being equal, if they're the same cost, the one I find myself reaching for the most often is the Fronius, surprisingly. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It ought to be, but I really thought that this was going to be the one. And I think with time, this seems like the most well-rounded one. But
we've pushed this one to its extremes more, thanks to Peter wanting to demo all that stuff. I mean,
just in terms of like ease of use and just ease of use and comfort level. And of course, I spent the most time using this one, but I find myself reaching for this as well.
Well, you said it earlier, at this current moment, the way these were sent to us, this is the only one with a torch mounted trigger that's not a frustrating scroll wheel like this.
Yeah.
So when you were dancing around the table, tacking things around,
it
made a lot of sense.
Not having to move a foot pedal around, like, and it really, I went from hating that or thinking I was going to hate that torch control to really, really finding it very intuitive. And other than a few minor quibbles that are kind of major in that, you know, accidentally adjusting the amperage when you're not meaning to, it's a good system. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do.
Well, and it's the same size with the water cooler, and if they do a flex head one of these, that would be a game changer.
It's a boa constrictor.
It's heavy.
Yeah,
which I don't, we did the water cool before and it didn't really change. It's heavy either way.
Yeah.
Which is to be, you know, on these two, you would go pretty much full CK replacements on both of these, whereas this is super proprietary. Like not even, like this whole thing is proprietary, where these are just like dense connectors and a gas line.
Right.
You can get adapters for both of these. You are locked, this is the Apple of TIG welders. Like,
you're in the infrastructure.
You are locked into this equipment, which it's again also with Apple. Like, I understand the engineers are like, we've engineered all this to work together, and this is the only combination of parts that we can guarantee is going to work this way.
But when you have this around your shoulder and you lean over in the middle of a weld and it falls and jerks the torch, like
And I don't know a single TIG welder that hasn't hot rodded their system with a CK flex head, a super flex hose, and like all the, you know, a Furic wrap.
Apple, Microsoft, Linux.
Yeah. And my core is intend to go with Microsoft or Linux because I want that customization.
Right.
You're an Apple guy.
Yeah, checks out.
That works out well. I
love penguins too. So.
I often think I'm too dumb for Linux, but the upside is huge when you get it fine-tuned. But so don't let the fact that these didn't come with a foot pedal. Well, this one came with a foot pedal, no trigger. This one came with a trigger, no foot pedal. Obviously, it's not super fair because a true one-to-one, we'd have a trigger and a foot pedal for each one. And that was just a function of time and whatever they sent us. So we realized that we're biased in saying that that one had the trigger, so you used it. But you could obviously put all those. And these two, cool enough, have the same plug.
Interchangeable.
The 14-pin Miller style like mil-spec plug. We literally took the foot pedal from this one that cost $200 and plugged it into this one, which normally has a foot pedal that costs $600, or $1,000 if you get the wireless one.
Which the $200 foot pedal has a really nice machined aluminum anodized plug, and
Yeah.
the Miller is all plastic.
Weird.
Yeah.
DC performance.
In DC performance, I mean, I kind of got to give it to the Miller on that. You know, it's their bread and butter. You know, it's the reason they charge what they charge. They are the industry standard. So, you know, they got people on their heels, you know, coming for the crown, but they still have it at the time being.
I'm inclined to agree. That stainless exhaust system I did when you brought your pedal over, and I had some Furic front end accessories on the torch and a flex head, like it was a beautiful
it's what you want.
welding
It's the
experience.
standard.
And this one, I have yet to iron it out, and it's just a function of time probably, but this one left like a little like nipple when I stopped the weld. Like when I cut the DC current, it left a little like little
Like
nub.
the down slope was too sharp.
Something, and again, that's probably just me, but this one is just like,
Well, I mean,
just
and that,
stops.
yeah, you know, I think that's probably reflected somewhat in the price differential there. You know, again, it's the elephant in the room, but this is a new to market machine
Brand
that
new.
is, you know, really kind of figuring out its place, and there's probably going to be some updates and whatnot. This is really been put through the ringer, I'm sure, for quite some time, and they know what they have. So
Yeah, I mean, a dynasty of this type has at least been around for 30 years.
I'd call it a dynasty.
Yeah, so DC performance, these two we could probably get to here with some fine tuning, but this was like turn it on and go. Felt really buttery.
And honestly, I would probably go 1, 2, 3 on that in terms of DC, just based on the amount of time that I spent with each one of those.
I will say, with the titanium stuff we did, just the welding, this heavier flex head torch, I did not mind at all.
Really?
Yeah, it's big, but this thing is 250 amp capable, so this could do everything.
Absolutely.
And there's more copper in here. So for an air-cooled torch, it can certainly handle a lot more heat. By far my favorite stock torch
Yeah.
that came. I know it's not related to DC, but it kind of is because
Sure.
the way we were using it, which is this is the heavy hitters 26 series. For DC performance, yeah, Miller was my favorite. And then honestly, it's a toss-up between these two. I really did like the arc on this, but we never had a foot pedal for this.
Right.
And my ideal scenario for thin-walled stainless or anything would be a foot pedal. So it would be 1, 2, 3 for me because I had a foot pedal to use on this one.
Yeah, it's really process related because, you know, if you're in some tight crotches or whatnot, you know, that having a foot pedal would be absolutely key. And then when you have a foot pedal and you're still using that large torch on the Fronius, that's kind of slightly insulting.
Right, like what's all that business
Right,
for
right.
at this point? AC performance.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say. This thing worked, and it worked well. We didn't push this like we pushed this with Peter, but Peter seemed to have a whole lot of knowledge on the AC side that we didn't even do AC stuff with. Well, we did a little when Rick was here,
Right.
but he wasn't an AC guy, you know, so
Peter was the game genie that we plugged in on this
Yeah.
one. Like he changed, it would be a different rating if he wasn't here.
Yeah.
Which is notable.
Yeah.
We didn't ask him to come down. You know, we did reach out to him for this video. It was his, you know, he hit us up and was like, hey, when are you filming? Can we come down? I want to run you through it. Because he saw the video we did with Miller and Rick. And he's like, I want to make my machine look as good as it can be,
Yeah.
which kudos to Peter and HTP for that. Thanks for HTP for paying Peter to come down. It was great. You struggled with AC the most on this.
Yeah, this would be my number 3 on that.
Which again, if we had Peter's tutelage prior to you doing this, there's probably some, well, there's different filler we could have tried out, which we learned that rock mount filler, wild.
Yeah.
Made you
Big
look
difference.
like a superhero.
Big difference.
You probably would have been a little better off on this, but I now that I know what all that bonus stuff in here does, all the AC/DC mix and the the really customizable AC waveform settings in here. I mean, we welded aluminum cans together with this thing. So I'm extremely pleased with the AC. Now that I know what it does. Before it would have been very overwhelming. But again, this thing has a really comprehensive manual. So I started reading the manual when Peter was here and it sounded just like he talked. I'm like, Peter, did you write this? He goes, yeah, kinda. So yeah, what were your ratings on AC?
I mean, 1, 2, 3, but I spent the least amount of time with the Dynasty, so I don't know if that's completely fair.
This thing, they claimed, I don't know, they don't have AC/DC mix on this, I don't think, but they do have a lot of the other settings. You can customize your zero line current. You can, like an asymmetric waveform customization. So I think these two share a lot of new customization settings. We use this one the most. Well, you use that one the most, but we had the best luck with this one.
For sure.
So I would say probably the same, 1, 2, 3 for AC, of which I hope to do much more.
Yeah.
Now, the ultimate elephant in the room. I'm not going to ask you, would you buy, but
Price.
Does it live up to its price point is the ultimate question. Does it justify its price point?
Have we said price at all in the video yet?
We're going to say it right now.
Okay. Yeah. The Dynasty 2024 Dynasty 300 retails for $9,915.
We think.
At this
if it hasn't
point.
Gone up
it's
already.
depending on what Jerome Powell said.
Yeah. And that price does not include the torch.
Nope.
Or the foot pedal.
Nope.
You get a blue box and a pair of DINS connectors.
Yep.
And a manual.
Thank you, sir. Can I have another?
Wow. The HTP TIG 251 DV retails for right at $4,000, $3,999. And I believe that comes with the torch and the foot pedal.
It does.
Lots of goodies.
You can add a longer torch, a flex head, you can customize stuff, but that's
everything that we got.
everything that we got for $4,000. Less than half of this. It's hard not to let that affect.
I mean, to think that I bought my Dynasty for more than this over a decade ago.
Yeah.
And that's hard to wrap my head around. Like that, the value is just kind of unparalleled.
I mean, really, to get into this at the same level as this, you have to spend like
you're
12,000.
Yeah, easy.
And the Fronius iWave 230i air-cooled, which is what we got here, $55.69.
That's a little more compelling.
Yeah, so these two are very much duking it out
ballpark,
in their own fight, and this thing's just laughing from its ivory tower.
Yes. Yeah.
Great way to put it.
It's just watching the poor people fight in the mud.
The plus.
It smells like poor out here. Yeah. So, you know, this thing's $1,500 more than this, but it's not $4,000 more. So there's your spread.
So does that $1,500 in the torch alone?
Well, you're paying for engineering, you're paying for accessories, boutique options. You know, this one happens to have zip tied to it a 3-year full warranty sticker. Not sure on either of these. Miller has disappointed me in the past. I bought a brand new MIG torch for my MIG welder, and then the trigger failed within several months. And it was like, sorry, we can't help you.
That's my second, the foot pedal I brought in. My first one died probably 5 months after I got it.
Wow.
And they replaced it.
They did replace it?
They did replace
Okay.
it, and it's been going strong ever since.
Well, that's good.
But I would imagine customer support, given how small of a company HTP is in comparison, would probably be a little bit more responsive, because it took some pestering to get that pedal replaced.
Well, the reality on this is we would go, these two, for the record, we would go through ARC 3.
Sure.
Because they're dealers, and they, at least in Roanoke, they do repair the welders on site. So we would not be going to the manufacturer on these. We'd be going through ARC 3, which is probably the manufacturer's preferred method anyway, because of how big they are. Not to mention, these two have that dealer buying process. You know, you go to usawelds.com and just like, it's there, add to cart, buy.
Yep.
This, there are other websites that sell it, like Baker's Gas is one of them. I think you can buy
Cyberweld.
both of these.
That's where we got both of these prices.
That's where we got these prices, from Baker's Gas. But that is a third-party site. As a dealer, you know, at this point now, I would go through Frank if I wanted to buy this, and I would go through Laine if I wanted to buy this, because I know them, but most people would not have that luxury. But that's the price for these things, and it's hard not to let it pee in the soup on this one. The only thing that I'll say before people start screaming at us is this is a 300 amp machine, this is a 250, and this is a 230. So technically speaking, you are getting more welder here for the money. But they do make a 200. So the Dynasty 210 of the same spec, 6360. Still the most expensive. And it would be the least powerful.
capable. Yeah, at that standpoint.
So that does soften the blow just a bit.
Sure.
But at that point, it's really hard to justify it because 210, you're not 100% duty cycle at 210. You're more at like 180, 190.
Right.
You're gonna struggle to do a lot of AC stuff without all that extra power.
Not to mention the AC/DC feature that this guy has.
Right.
Was really neat.
Super cool. So $6,000+ for the 210, $9,900 for the 300, $4,000, $5,500. Price to value or like bang for the buck?
Bang for the buck.
Go ahead.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
Best value.
I mean, at our scale, in our business, like this is a really hard pill to swallow.
Sure.
You would, and I said this to Rick in the video, you can replay that part. You would awfully hope that this is the last TIG welder you ever have to buy at that price. Like if you bite that bullet.
I'm gonna be, if I buy that, I'm really salty about having to do system updates and download new software onto a flash drive and do all that. I'm willing to do that on something like the HTP.
Right. Yeah, I want to be catered to if I buy this experience. This should be an all-inclusive resort.
And that's really
show up and
you should rub it and Rick comes out of it.
No wishing for more wishes.
Best bang for the buck's got to be the HTP. It comes with the most accessories. It's got the most power if you take into account the 210 version of this, and it's the smartest, I think. It's got the most features to customize.
I think each one is kind of catered to a specific industry or process. You know, if I was, building roll cages exclusively, the Fronius is the machine that I would want, just because of that hand. Being able to move around, not have to have a weird, scroll wheel or a foot pedal between your knees, something like that. Like that is the competitive advantage there. A jack of all trades kind of fab shop like we are that does a little bit of everything. This is the specialty here. If you're into, aviation welding or anything high tech like that, where you're doing a very specific process, the Miller's
making a lot of money.
And you need the reliability, because that's what you're paying for.
Go down.
Exactly.
You go with this.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought of was, now this is a bit of a curveball throwing it in because we haven't featured it in this video at all, but how does the Everlast 210 EXT stack up?
Oh, sure. Well, to put the green girl on the table, the Everlast 210 EXT that I bought several years ago, that I still own, is the bottom of this totem pole price-wise. It's the cheapest by far. It was $1,700. I think it was $2,000 once I added a few torches and the foot pedal and stuff. By far the cheapest, and really, with the exception of some pretty severely lacking AC capabilities, like that thing, I think just the power-wise, like once the duty cycle expired, that thing fell flat on its face when I was pushing it hard on AC. But I did some stainless exhaust work the other day just because you were using one of these and it was on that side of the shop. I'm gonna leave it over there for automotive work because with the right front end consumables, that thing still does awesome for DC.
My favorite purge button.
It's right front and center. Yeah. And I know that thing now. I've got settings saved and I'm very familiar with it. I think honestly,
it's the most user-friendly.
If you remove the AC setting off of that machine, like the price makes sense, and that's what it's the best at, in my opinion. So like, I'm just gonna treat the Everlast as a DC welder. It's earned its place in the shop, and then who knows, maybe we'll pick up one of these.
It's coming out of somebody's paycheck.
All right, so one final.
We'll all quit, and this will be sitting in my office. And then when people come in, there's just a cold blue
What was
box.
the Miller robot called?
The Cobot.
Cobot, yeah.
Hello, Cobot. Welcome to Lift Arc Studios. And this is 5 times the price of the Everlast. And I honestly like the DC Arc just as much on that Everlast. I didn't have the feeling like that thing does everything I want it to do on DC. I am the limitation as far as the DC goes on these things.
Do we make mention of the AC issues that we had on the HTP? Or do we just
No.
Yeah, I think that was solved.
Yeah, that was a defective machine because it was pre-pro, and now we don't have a defective machine.
Which is, I kind of trying to shoehorn that in a little bit and talking about the newness versus the dynasty of that.
Marry, kill. Marry, kill.
Right in that order.
F, M, K.
This has the most novelty and will impress your friends.
Yeah. This one, you'll come home to a hot meal,
Yeah.
and she'll support your
Not
hobbies.
without your issues, but you can work through them.
Yeah, this is an 80-20.
Yeah. Willing to talk.
This thing's just unbearable.
Yeah, that one is.
And it spends all your money and runs up credit card debt.
Yeah, it is not going to respond well to criticism. Yeah.
All right, that's the end of the video.
Special shout out to Arc 3 Gases and Frank and Laine, who are all kind of working there together, for hooking us up with these 2 machines. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. And shout out to Peter from HTP for bringing this thing down.
After dealing with all of them, I would love to pick Laine's brain a little bit more on this one, just understanding some of the capabilities. The foot pedal had like a sesh with.
That wireless foot pedal is pretty rad, and it's got that hook, man.
I know.
The
I
hook.
know.
You'll get hooked.
So funny how in welders, like a hook is like revolutionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I was thinking, like, we're welders. We could make a hook. But like a plastic hook on a foot pedal is like,
Like 3D print us one.
Yeah. Go to arc3gases.com to check out these guys. If you create an account, they do have a sweet e-commerce setting now where you can actually see the prices online, which is rad.
Sweet.
usaweld.com for HTP stuff.
USAWelds.com is up for grabs.
I know. Hopefully they bought that and did a redirect. If not, get on it.
Because I went there accidentally yesterday.
Uh-oh. Get Peter on the horn.
And we were made aware of some other companies throughout this. Check out Furic gas lens products, and then check out Edge Welding, a couple of glass blowers that have started to make some pretty cool welding cups and
Mondo,
gas lenses. Yeah, that's a 21 or something. Edge does have a really cool sort of universal adapter. You thread this on and then you can interchange all day long. So Edge Welding, Furic cups, and then of course we're big fans of CK worldwide. All the links are down low. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of bonus content from this on our Patreon. So if you haven't already, consider joining our Patreon for all the behind the scenes stuff, uncut stuff, and until April 22nd, we have a giveaway going on. So if you're a current patron member, or if you join a paid level of our Patreon, you are entered to win the Creality Ender V3 KE. Easy enough.
Catchy.
But it's a cool multi-$100 3D printer that worked great out of the box. And if you're into that sort of thing, you only got to enter our Patreon for a month, technically, to get entered. So consider that. There's a lot of other perks that come with it, and we would appreciate it greatly. Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you, guys. Happy welding. Subscribe. I love you. Bye. Aaron's so over it.
I want to go weld.
You want to take your hot lady back?
Yeah.
Back to
I want to go
I want to wear out my
consummate.
welcome with her.
Make her walk with a limp.